Come out firing, come out flying.
You got to get on these guys early, let them know who's in charge of the game, and execute.
5 players that have now over 30 points on your team already halfway through the season.
You set the standard. You don't play on anybody else.
All gas, no brakes.
Virginia Tech has never won 8 in a row in program history.
4 seconds, 3 seconds, and the Hokies will walk out of New Jersey on a 7-game win streak.
So let's talk kind of about Denison for them. 17-3 this weekend.
Kazai driving in. They score! The Bronx fall 10-3 to the Virginia Tech Hokies.
And he scores! Dynamic duo strikes again. And it goes in!
Taken out. That one fired and they scored.
This shot score! Saved by Cook. Plays the
On the wraparound. And he scores!
Welcome back to the Virginia Tech Hockey Network, where we have another matchup between the High Point Panthers and the Virginia Tech Hokies. Last night they played one another, and it ended in a nail-biter of a game where High Point took the win in overtime after the Hokies came back from down 2. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Finn Trainer. I'm here with Kyle Bean. We had a very exciting game last night. A lot of different things happened to lead up to the final overtime. That was honestly very, very tight. There was a lot of penalties that happened as well. But the first thing that I like to talk about is the speed that we saw. Both of us kind of didn't know how each team were going to go in to the game last night. The speed really was a factor for both teams.
Yeah, it's really tough to predict with both teams coming off of a lengthy break. High Point able to get the better of Virginia Tech in the first couple minutes of that first period. They put 2 quick ones on the board, and the Hokies had to battle back. They were able to. Once again, High Point in the second period did it just as well. Virginia Tech able to battle back, but ultimately it hurt them in the end.
Yeah, and there was a long period of time during the second period where the Hokies seemed to have a lot more possession there, and the speed didn't really have too much of a play there. But physicality was a major thing that happened as we saw some penalties. That was a big issue for both teams later in the third. What are your thoughts on how this game is going to be the same way?
I think we could see a lot of penalties carry over from last night into tonight. Just the physicality, the frustration that both teams were playing. I think some of that frustration may show through again on Saturday night, but both teams have to have cool heads. It's near the end of the season. You got to make sure everyone's available, everyone's fresh. You can't lose a guy with very important matchups coming for the rest of the month.
Yeah, especially for the Hokies playing Ohio, which is the 3rd-ranked team in the ACC or the ACCHL right now. That's a crucial win for them to get if they can in Ohio, and being down any players is going to be very hard for them as well. We also saw very picky stuff from the Hokies when it came to possession. They had more of the puck a lot of the time, and they had better possessions, but it seemed like they weren't taking shots that they really should have been.
They did have a couple of really solid ones, especially looking into the third period. Some extensive offensive presences. They were able to keep it in for 2-3 minutes on 1 or 2 occasions, just not able to put it through because you're right, Finn. There were a couple of instances where Virginia Tech passed up good shots, searching for great shots, and they just weren't able to connect. A couple of really tough passes right in front of the net, and sometimes you just got to take the shot that's available.
Yeah, and it's always really tricky between finding that beautiful shot that's the highlight reel and just the quick dump in towards the goalie that ends up just tipping in and going in. Speaking of which, what is your Beach House Bar and Grill hot take of the night? We saw mine ended up being correct, so we'll see what yours is.
Yeah, 4 goals in the first period from you last night. That was crazy, and even crazier that it actually happened. I think tonight we're going to see big things out of the Hokies' second line. I felt like they played really well last night. Weren't able to connect quite as well as the first line. But you look at Austin Hearn, Matt Tulo, and Gavin Now. I thought all 3 of them played really well, particularly Austin Hearn. Thought he was really aggressive, and he was able to try and get past a lot of defenders in open ice. Just wasn't quite able to get the shot off. I think he's going to be extra aggressive tonight. Matt Tulo has been a player for Virginia Tech that's always consistent. He comes in clutch in a lot of instances. He makes those big defensive plays when you need it. He makes that great highlight pass for a nice goal. right when you need it, he's the guy you want to look to. And also that second defensive pair. I mean, Teo Lanigan had a great game, I thought. He was really solid on defense. And Trevor Kellogg looked really good as well. So I think it's going to be that second grouping of Hokies that's really going to be the difference maker tonight.
Well, we'll see what happens here in about 8 minutes. Join us in 8 minutes where we have puck drop here at 6:30 at the Lancerlot Sports Complex. like to welcome you back to the live shot. Welcome back to the Virginia Tech Hockey Network here at Lancerlot. We're about to get some lineups here before we start the game. The Hokies in orange, High Point in purple. All right, Kyle. Game's about to start here. They announced the second line as the starting line, so already a little bit of something there for your Beach House Bar and Grill hot take. The starting lineup for the Hokies: number 17, Austin Hearn; number 21, Gavin Now; number 11, Matt Tulo. That's your forwards. And on defense is Teo Lanigan, number 5, and Trevor Kellogg, number 4. And in goal, you have number 33, Tucker Forrest, the sophomore. Over for High Point, you have your forwards at Glessner, number 19, Sasso, number 27, DiMartino at 59, and then for defense, you have Hutchins, 44, and Cacciatore, number 17. A lot of that first line or the starting line for the High Point Panthers were the scorers of last night. So we'll see if they can kind of keep that same speed going in, or if this second line for the Hokies can answer in a big way.
It was definitely a top-heavy game in terms of scoring. The Hokies' first line as well was incredibly effective. I mean, Cam Kazai had a goal. You and Andrew had one as well.
He did, as Austin Hearn wins the faceoff over into the offensive end, and the Hokies continue with it as Hart, the goalie, plays it off into the near side corner. Panthers end up securing it up, but Nick Sasso loses it to Trevor Kellogg. and it moves back forward into the offensive end for the Panthers as they collect behind the goal. Already with some physicality is Matt Tulo, laying a big hit to start off things early. A shot from before the blue line just goes right off of the blocker of Hart, and the Panthers are able to just barely get it over their blue line, but the Hokies return as they move forward.
You can tell Virginia Tech's doing exactly what they struggled with last night. They're shooting early and shooting often.
Exactly. They're not taking those longer shots and their longer passes. They're just going straight to the goalie. As that pass almost goes out of the blue paint, and the Panthers still contain it in their end, but big play by Cam Kazai to try and take it away as the first line for the Hokies returns to ice. A tip over by Rice, almost gets by his man Hughes, but nothing there, and Tucker Forrest will cover it up for the first stop of the game. Really smart playing defensively by the Hokies there, and it seemed like High Point wasn't really settled early. That's something that, again, could happen where teams come out super, super early in the first game, and then the second game they don't. But they will secure that, but they'll tip it forward. Tyler Gordon sends it over to DeVivo, and DeVivo almost getting it in, and it does! It just passes straight through the 5-hole of Hart, and he's unable to find it. And the Hokies return similarly to how High Point did last night, and they're the first one on the board in 18 with 18:24 left on the clock.
That's big for Virginia Tech. After going down 2-0 early in the first period last night, they get their own speedy one here on Saturday. I think they really needed that for a little bit of extra confidence boost.
And especially from the third line for the Hokies as they stay out there and collect it here and go for another chance as the puck goes off into the High Point bench. Tyler Gordon gets the assist there, the primary assist, and the only assist of DeVivo's goal. That is his second goal of the season, freshman out of Newburyport, Massachusetts. The Hokies regain possession there, and they send it on towards the goalie. Hart able to control it and give it off to one of his players, and they'll move forward. Welch sends it all the way up to Bova, and Bova looking for a streaking player. He finds the man of Bugan, and a big hit into the boards as the momentum carries all the way through and opens up those side doors that are used for a few things here at the Lancelot Sports Complex. They'll reset over in the near side face-off dot.
Don't be surprised if we get a lot more of that tonight. It started to get pretty physical towards the end of last night's contest, and I think it's going to be much more of the same.
Already seeing Teo chirping a little bit towards the blue line after he gets a little bit of a late hit, but they'll continue forward, and the Hokies trying to secure things. They'll keep going. Panthers up into the side. Tucker Forrest just cleanly sends that up, almost hitting the roof like we saw last night, but not able to secure it. The Hokies do manage to keep it going, and they'll send it up. Teo tries to get it at the blue line, but too many Panthers there in the way. A big hit down to the ice. Already some physicality, that coming from Kubi. Panthers, only 2 men in the offensive zone, so the 5 Hokies will be able to control it there, but Austin Hearn unable to get a little bit of a stick on there as Tulo's played into the boards by Joshua Mann, number 11 for the Panthers. Chippy plays already as that puck goes up. Good defense by the Panthers, even the man going off, keeping it in, but a turnover for the Panthers might be very costly as now sends it back to Tulo. Tulo rips it, but it just goes wide, and the puck will skate all the way back to where Brian Rice can collect it.
That was a great possession right there for Virginia Tech. I love the pass back to Tulo to give him the open look.
That's where those extra passes that we said might be a problem, that was the perfect opportunity there to just kind of add that layer of screening, that extra layer of funk to it that helps really well there. We'll have a face-off in the near side for the Panthers zone as it's taken by the Hokies. Sullivan will send it all the way down and around. Peduzzi not able to control it too much there in the corner, but they will secure it back, but Ewan Andrew not able to control it. But Sullivan, their back door, keeps it with him. DiMartino, a little bit of some aggression towards Sullivan. DiMartino, and we'll get a call, offsides. DiMartino was both penalized and a player that got hit pretty bad last night as well. He was on the other end of a lot of very physical playing throughout last night. We'll see how that kind of continues throughout tonight.
Yeah, DiMartino, definitely a guy that was landing some big hits last night. He did take a few as well, like you mentioned, and he really played somewhat of an instigator role for the Panthers, and it worked out well for them. He was able to get in the Hokies' heads a little bit and drew a couple of penalties because of it.
Yeah, very much that bruiser that you see in old hockey films and a lot of older hockey playing, as the Panthers are looking for a little bit of a delay of game there, but they won't get it, and there will be icing called on Virginia Tech. So we'll take it back over to the defensive zone for the Hokies as we have 15 minutes and 21 seconds left here in the first period. Hokies are already up 1 with a great breakaway shot from the third line. DeVivo with the goal, assisted by Tyler Gordon. A little bit of some confusion there as the Hokies end up coming with the win for the faceoff. Takes it a little bit high, but Peduzzi with some speed goes across, sends it to Kazai, and something that would have been just textbook just goes a little bit wide and off the face mask of Hart. Hokies will get a line change here, get some fresh legs out on the ice. And the Panthers still looking to get it out of their own zone as they finally do, but sending it back into the zone is Trevor Kellogg. Some big hits into the near side boards already, just right next to the penalty box. Both teams hoping to stay out of it as much as possible, but we do know that there will be some physical play here as the Panthers recollect in their own zone. And they'll send it by, but no tip comes from Anthony Sasso, so that will be icing on the Panthers, and we'll send it back over only after a minute has gone by.
It's been quite the speedy first period so far. Both teams are just looking to run.
Well, skate, but yes, they're both looking for speed, and that's what both teams are really showing here as Rice takes a shot from the blue line and doesn't go in. West Valiant with a tip just right into the blockers where Hart is able to control it and get that save. Hart not a goalie that we've seen a lot from the Panthers, as I believe he might be someone pulled up because of injury or something like that, but he's already playing some pretty good goaltending here as he's stopped a couple of really good looks from the Hokies as they try and get it out, but Brian Rice's shot is taken away by Bugan, and no one's able to recover it here, but the Panthers lose it in their offensive zone. Keeping it in is Albano, and sending it over is to Cray. Panthers will recollect in their own zone and send it up towards Bova. Bova sending it all the way around, and collecting it is the Hokies. Still a little bit of some slower stuff here from the Panthers. It seems like they're watching the puck a little bit here as the Hokies keep controlling it back in their own defensive end. Big hit into the boards there. Rice on Bugan. And Bugan will elect to recollect it back in the neutral zone, and they'll actually take it all the way back into their own defensive zone. And fanning on the puck is Albano as the Hokies are able to control it up here. Austin Hearn stalking a little bit of the Panthers, keeping it almost in as too low, but it is dumped over to the near side, and the captain, Andrew Welch, will send it over and control it behind the goal. He's looking up, finding a man, but he's not able to find anyone, and he'll send it back over to Joshua Mann, who's over in the corner. They'll send it out front, paint a shot opportunity there by Andrew Welch, but it just goes wide, and Tucker's able to get a little bit of a stick on it to send it out. Speeding forward was too low, but he's not able to control it as there were 3 Panthers in front of him, but great stick work there by Now as he's able to get it all the way down, and they'll wave off icing as there was a deflection there as it goes all the way over into the zone. Panthers recovering it here, sending it all the way around, just looking for an opportunity to get people back off the bench, but the Hokies with fresh legs already, they're able to come here. Austin Hearn with a toe drag in the middle, but gets stick lifted, so he's not able to take that shot there. Beautiful defensive play by Teo right there to keep it back in the offensive zone for the Hokies as the Panthers try to find anything that can keep them in the defensive end for the Hokies for more than 30 seconds. A wraparound attempt there, but doesn't find anyone is Glessner. Glessner sends it back, and it's dumped all the way back over the blue line as it had a little bit too much heat for Kaseo to be able to control it. Cam Kazai on the ground and trying to find a way to get it, and he sends it over to Ewan Andrew. Ewan Andrew almost gets just a lucky shot there on the pipe as Hart is able to get his foot there and stop the goal from going in.
This has been quite the battle so far in the first period. DeVivo had that one breakaway opportunity, but since then, it's been a lot of back and forth action.
It really has, and as the Panthers recover it here, Sasso sends it over to Donahue. Donahue takes a shot and it doesn't go nearly as much towards Tucker as he would have hoped, and it's played back all the way around. Good opportunity there, but a weird bounce from Hughes, so he's unable to really capitalize on that, and there would have been offsides, but the Hokies control it there. Peduzzi sends it all the way down, and the Hokies get their first line out now. Peduzzi not able to find anyone as the Panthers send it all the way up, and Sasso again, a big hit by Brian Rice up high to Anthony Sasso as he goes down to the ground, and seems like that was clean for them. The puck right on the goalie on the opposite side, and clean hit by Brian Rice. Already kind of setting the tone here as the Panthers are complaining to the refs, and they just are shaking their heads.
That's a tough one. Sasso was down there for a hot second. Took his time getting up. It looks like he's doing all right, probably going to get looked at by the trainer. Luckily, he was able to get up, walk off on his own.
Yeah, probably something for concussion protocol, as I believe the Panthers are getting a penalty here for unsportsmanlike conduct on number 27, Nick Sasso. I mean, that's his brother that went down to the ice, so he's definitely not trying to have his brother getting hurt there, and he's just going to have some words there, and they will get a penalty there for 2 minutes because of it.
Yeah, that's a scary one when you see a guy go down and he doesn't get up immediately.
A little bit of some work there as the faceoff finally goes down, and the Hokies on a Hokie power play here in the first period. We've got 10 minutes left, and they have a full 2 minutes that the Panthers have to try and kill off as they scream forward as DiMartino, but gets it tipped away by Brian Rice as they continue through the zone. The Hokies retain it here in the offensive zone and try to set something up as they send it to the point with Rice. Hearn back to Rice. Rice sends it in, but just off the blockers of Hart, unable to squeak it on by. Collecting it is Gavin Now as he tries to send it over to Max Sullivan, but no one is home. The Hokies trying to recover a little bit more. Teo, too low, getting played a little bit. There's already some talk between DiMartino, again, the bruiser of last night, and there will be a tripping call on the Hokies. Brian Rice, I believe, is who they're going to award it to.
I'm a bit surprised that neither Tulo nor DiMartino got something on that little scruff.
I would agree. I think the ref who was in between, or the linesman who was in between that play, kind of just telling them, hey, cool it down, calm it down. They don't want to send too many people to the box too early because then it becomes a high penalty game, and that can get out of hand a lot quicker when the refs or the coaches get involved. A big stop by Tucker just right into the breadbasket as he elects to slow things down. It'll be 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the 4-on-4, and then the Panthers will have a 44-second power play for their side. Kellogg off in the corner, fighting with it is Glessner, and the Hokies able to recover it a little bit, but the pass from the assistant captain, Jack Hutchins, just goes wide, and they'll recollect it back in their own zone and try and work something up. They'll send it all the way over to Casatori, but nothing there. They'll still play it back. A little bit slower here as they know that they're 4-on-4, but pressuring them is Cam Kazai. We saw him take that penalty late in the overtime of last night. He's definitely playing with a little bit more emotion here as he takes that puck there and is put onto the ground. High Point still not able to get it out of their own zone. We've already seen almost a minute go by in this in this 4-on-4. Glessner tries to dance around Kellogg, but Kellogg says no way, and Gavin now will take it up all the way to the offensive zone, looking for a player to pass it to, and he's got no one, but he's still fighting in the corner, still retaining possession is Gavin now as he squeaks on forward, passes to center, and a big shot by Austin Hearn just goes into the blockers of Hart. Power play for High Point now as the penalty is released by High Point, and they'll continue on through. High Point just now getting it over the red line and into the Hokies offensive zone, or a defensive zone here. Tucker with a good blocker save, and the Hokies will ice it all the way down as it goes just off the ref, and not as much heat behind it as I believe Gavin now would have wanted, but the High Point Panthers will recollect it here again in their own defensive zone as they try and capitalize on this. 5 seconds left. Shot goes just up and into the board, or up into the glass, and goes right by. Hokies now at full strength as Brian Rice, the defender, comes out of the box and over. Good foot there by DeVivo, already showing how much he can be effective in this game. He's got a goal as he still struggles with it there. Tucker Forrest looking around, but his defenders are able to keep it away. High Point trying to look for something, and it just tips right. Too much heat on that as it goes off and into the defensive zone. And now Matthew Hughes collects it and sends it all the way up, but isn't able to get anyone there, and it will be no icing as there was a little bit of a tip by one of the Hokies.
Matthew Hughes had a really big takeaway right behind the Hokies net. It almost came up big for the Panthers.
It did, but that shot, or that pass, just went a little bit too far across, and they'll be back in their own defensive zone. The Hokies still trying to get a better possession as Tecray is dumped onto the ground by Yell. And the Hokies will send it back down. No icing as they'll get a good line change here, and the Panthers still trying to find an opportunity. West Valiant with the takeaway there, tips it up a little bit, playing it, passed over, and they will call a hand pass on West Valiant. And they'll have a face-off still in the defensive zone for High Point, but High Point will be able to get a few fresh legs out there. West Valiant with a really good opportunity, but a little bit of some puck movement will send the face-off, send us back to the face-off. 6 minutes and 33 seconds left on the first period. I'm Finn Trainer, and I'm here with Kyle Bean up in the booth. Thank you so much for watching as the Hokies recover it here and play it in, and they'll set something up as High Point tries to find a way to get out of their defensive zone, but nothing too much here. It'll go all the way out and all the way down, and there will be no icing as it didn't make it all the way to the goal line. And they'll send it forward. Off the front, it goes just over, and this is a good opportunity for the captain, Welch, as big stop by Tucker Forrest as he goes post to post, able to block that shot by the Panthers. again with another opportunity, but it will be offsides as Welch was too far over the line. 5 minutes and 52 seconds left. Big stop by Tucker there.
That was fantastic footwork for the goaltender, but you've also got to look at A.J. Bugan. He had that big winner in overtime, and he set himself up perfectly in front of the net. Really gave the Panthers a great opportunity, but Forrest just read it well.
Exactly, and that's something that we can see even surprisingly from a sophomore as well, being so young in this college sport. But he's still able to read those plays fairly quickly as a battle in the corners to Cray and DiMartino. DiMartino falling down to the ice and to Cray keeping with it. He sends it up to Cam Kazai. Cam Kazai over to Peduzzi, back to Kazai. Shot just goes right off. Ewan Andrew collects it and tries to look for another road to home. Brian Rice sending it back over, collecting it as Cam Kazai. Shot by Peduzzi, but it just goes up and over to a Panther. Sasso will play it up, but it's messily brought over by DiMartino, but they will send it right over to a streaking Sasso, but he's not able to get a stick on there as good defensive work by Dhruv Takar.
The Panthers are making some very high-quality reads right in front of the net. They're streaking right into the right spots. They just haven't landed the passes as well as they'd like.
Another vintage play by the Hokies. Good opportunity for Hearn, but he's not able to get it all the way by. And a shot from Teo. And I believe there's a high stick here, but no call as Peduzzi got hit pretty high. Trevor Kellogg will collect it back behind, trying to give Peduzzi enough time as Sasso, I believe, back off the bench, but he'll fly right into the boards. Tulo trying to get a little fancy with it, but he's still able there. They will call a tripping there, but they'll continue play as the Panthers regain it. Sasso over to Hughes, and Hughes unable to control it, and they'll send it back over to Ringstad. Ringstad trying to find something there. They will pull, High Point will pull their goalie to get the extra man. It'll be 6-on-5 for a little bit here until the Hokies can gain possession. 3 minutes and 44 seconds left. The linesman still with his hand up in the air. Hokies not able to get it here as they still try, and Gavin now will be the one to collect it for the tripping call on one of the Hokies. I believe they'll call it on Gavin now. Weird thing about that was the linesman who was all the way at the Hokies blue line who was making that tripping call. There were 3 other refs there who didn't see it and were a little confused. And I think that's what Coach Mullen is talking about. He's kind of a little confused at why the guy furthest back is making that call, but they'll continue here through.
I feel like during that couple of minutes, there was probably a few things that could have been called both ways during that 3-minute span or so. Definitely a few questionable ones.
Yeah, and we saw that a lot during the game last night as well. A few things that didn't get called that should have been, and a few things that did get called that really were a little bit light, as the Panthers elect to be on their first or their second power play of the night, trying to see if they can't get anything going, as the last time they were deep in their own defensive end. Sending it around, they'll try a shot, but Glessner unable to make it go home. Hutchins with the puck now, sends it over towards Tucker Forrest, and Tucker Forrest controls it there, but it just bounces off right over to Glessner, who's in the perfect spot right there. The 6'8" forward racks up his 10th goal of the season. Good pass from Hutchins that ends up going on net for Tucker, and the bounce just goes wide. And Peduzzi's talking to the linesman about he got hit up high, and I believe it might have even been a high stick. I might have seen a little bit of blood as well, as the Panthers look for another opportunity here, sending it right over into the glove of Tucker. Easy stop for him there, as it just goes right over to where he's already got his hand.
We're seeing some big hits here in this first period. I think one of the things that's going to really make the difference in this game is who can keep their heads cool over the course of the 3 periods.
Exactly. Not only have we seen really big hits, but we've also seen some players going hard to the boards as Ewan Andrew, couldn't see if it was a 1 or a 2, tries to play it there, and Cam Kazai doesn't control it fully there, and it'll go off to center ice. The Panthers looking for something here as man dishes it back over. Good defensive play by Trevor Kellogg there to keep the wraparound shot from being available. Cam Kazai streaming all the way, taking it from side to side, shoots, and it almost goes in as glove down his heart, but he loses a little bit of that as there was a lot of heat behind that pass, or that shot. Cam Kazai definitely not a guy you want to see skating from post to post and getting that close to your goalie. Good stop for Hart there, especially on a player like Cam Kazai. Face-off won by the Panthers, but they'll lose it here as Austin Hearn and Tulo look to control it in their zone, but they aren't able to. Going forward all the way into the area, Skarka not able to get anything done, and the Panthers will score another one in 2 minutes.
That was just textbook passing. Fantastic reads from High Point once again. They did that a lot last night, and we've seen them make those great reads here tonight so far. Finally able to connect on one of them.
Yeah, that's definitely something that, as a Hokie, you've got to look a little bit towards the defense there, as they were a little clustered around watching the puck a little bit too much than they should have. But I think they're fixing the boards again. Yeah, just over in that back corner. A few pieces are on the ice. The Hokies' third line is back out there as Zachary Stewart, the sophomore from Henrico, Virginia, takes the faceoff and wins it over. Tyler Gordon takes it on into the blue, over the blue line, and he's still pestering his man. A big hit into the boards. Cameron Anderson, and there will be an icing call on the Hokies. They'll pull it back over and take a face-off in the near side of the Hokies' defensive zone. This is where the Hokies defense has to step up, get another possession, and get something for this last minute and 35 left in the first period. They do a little bit of that here as DeVivo sends it up to Tyler Gordon, but Anderson able to send it all the way down. Panthers trying to get that front door pass from behind, but unable to. The Hokies sending it all the way down. A weird bounce goes to Tyler Gordon, but nothing there. Brian Rice looking to battle with DiMartino, and unsuccessful. DiMartino still with it, just basically holding on, still holding on to Brian Rice's stick, still holding on, and no call. They will call something there. Yep, holding on to the stick.
Once again, it's
DiMartino,
the far referee.
I want to know how many carrots he's eating every day, because he's got some really good eyesight. I'm up here with glasses, and I can barely even see some things sometimes. 57 seconds left, just under a minute in this period. The Panthers are up 2-1, but a big power play could be coming here from the Hokies, as they've got their third line mixed with their first line out here for the power play. Takara with it now, sending it over to Peduzzi. Peduzzi takes a shot, almost tipped in by Ewan Andrew. Nothing there. DeVivo collects it, sends it up. Peduzzi slows things down, looking for another opportunity, sending it over to DeVivo. DeVivo almost had an open shot there, but got a little bit of his stick tied up with Joshua Mann for the Panthers. They'll recollect, think about some things, and they'll send it back over. Takara with it now, sending it over to Ewan Andrew, but no one is home as back to Takara. Takara sends it over. A tip in from Cam almost goes by, but it's still blocked there. And now the Panthers have an opportunity here with 12 seconds left, and they'll just send it on by. They've got the lead, and they will slow things down as much as possible. Stretch pass over to Drew to Carr, and they will slow things to a stop as we end the first period here. There will still be 1 minute and 2 seconds left on that penalty that High Point will have to kill off, but overall, a very fast-paced, physical game already early.
High Point is playing incredibly crisp, and much of the same as last night. It looks like they're getting the Hokies frustrated, and at times I think they've gotten the better of them. Virginia Tech needs to make sure that they can keep their heads cool, come out calm for the second period if they want to work back into this game.
Yeah, only down one isn't too much of a deficit, but definitely if you are a little bit angry coming out into that second period, sometimes those penalties can start to rack up, and that can be very dangerous for a team, especially with the High Point Panthers being a team that's really good at kind of pushing a team over the edge. We'll see you guys back in about 16 minutes here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. Panthers up 2-1 over the Hokies. Welcome back to the Virginia Tech Hockey Network here on YouTube. We're here at the Lancerlot Sports Complex. About to start here for the second period of play. The Panthers are up 2-1 over the Hokies after the Hokies got a really good look from DeVivo. And on the opposite end has been the Panthers, able to put two by Tucker Forrest. We'll start this 20 minutes off with a power play for the Hokies as DiMartino was called for holding the stick, which is a little bit of a mouthful of a call, but it does happen from time to time here in hockey. 1 minute and 2 seconds left for that penalty, so the Panthers will be down one of their assistant captains, and the Hokies will be a man up.
Definitely an aggressive first period from both teams. A lot of big hits. We're seeing the physicality carry over from last night.
A lot of really big hits as the Hokies win this here, and also they're going to the boards really fast. A couple of players have just flown into the boards without even someone touching them just because they missed their man. Hokies now controlling it here, their first line up, and Cam Kazai just taking a little bit of some hero puck there as he gets hit into the boards and his helmet comes off and he's looking for a call there. As they'll talk to him here, he'll have to put it back on, but he was hit pretty high from behind, basically in the neck area, and shoved up, and that's what popped his bucket off. No penalty called, however, as no one really saw it happen. They'll take a face-off. In the far side dot. With 30 seconds in and we get our first whistle. Seems to be the trend for the High Point Virginia Tech games. TeCray tries to dish it up to the neutral zone, but nothing really comes from it, but they will collect it back and they'll send it up. Austin Hearn tries to get a stick on it, but it will be icing on the Hokies.
Not a great possession right there for Virginia Tech. You got the man advantage, and icing the puck just tipped it before the red line.
It does seem like that call, or that no call on Cam, kind of slowed a lot of things down for the Hokies as they are trying to gain a little bit more of a footing here in this hockey game. Tucker with a great stop just sends it off forward, and they'll get an opportunity here as Ewan Andrew sends it along the boards. Only 5 seconds left on this penalty for the Panthers, but Brian Rice's shot just goes wide, and they'll recollect things here again. Another shot almost goes by. It seems like Hart didn't really have too much there on it, but a shot just blocked by, I believe, number 93, Andrew Welch, the captain, as his stick breaks off of a slap shot from Brian Rice from the point.
I really liked that fake from Gavin Peduzzi. It gave Rice a good look. I felt like High Point bid on it pretty hard, and a lot of players just didn't know where the puck was for a split second.
I didn't even know where it was. I knew that it hit something like a stick, but I couldn't see. Dangerous play from Hart there as he tries to get out, but the Panthers recollect it here, and the defense, big hit into the boards is Teo Lanigan off of the hit from Reggio. Panthers collect it back behind, looking for an outlet or some kind of move here, and Cam Kazai pressures enough to get some things going. The puck goes all the way up, and Trevor Kellogg is able to control it. In his own zone, he sends it around all the way to Tulo, who doesn't get a stick on it as the Panthers had two bodies there. Anderson playing really well here, kind of being one of those players like the Hokies Tulo as Cam Kazai goes in, takes a shot, and just goes off the shoulder of Hart. They'll send it up. Yell tries to get a stick, and he does. He collects it there, and he'll send it all the way off as he goes off for a line change.
I think High Point has played really well along the boards so far this game in those sort of crunch moments where you don't really know which way the puck's going to go, they've been able to fight through.
No icing called here as Tyler Gordon is able to get it there as a little bit of a scuffle in the corner leads to the Hokies having to reclaim the zone. They'll send it on in, and the little dribble just blocked by Hart, and he's able to just put a glove there. They'll take another face-off here in the near side dot. Hokies have been fairly good on the face-off, but seemed like later in that second part of the first period, they were a little slower. Hokies reclaim it there is Murphy. Big hit into the corner is Sasso on Murphy, but both of them stay up. Sasso taking a little bit to the ground, but DeVivo claims it here, sends it over, but Sasso is there to collect it. They'll keep it on sides, but they'll dish it back over to Stewart. Easy glove save for Tucker Forrest there as it just goes right in front of his face mask and he just blocks it.
Sasso with a nice pickpocket from Zach Stewart, able to get one good quality shot there, but of course Tucker Forrest with the speedy glove.
They'll take a face-off here, West Valiant against Donahue, and Donahue wins it a little bit, and then the Hokies regain here, and it will be no icing as High Point was the one there. Pressuring is High Point as they come across neutral ice. Bringing it all the way over is Donahue, but a little bit of some miscommunication there as the Hokies try to look the other way. Coming over is QB, takes a little bit of a high hit on Ringstad. No one there, open net there, and it will be iced by the Panthers.
Impressive work in the goal, able to hold that left blocker down, just being pestered by the Hokies. High Point has played a really solid game as an entire team.
A really strong showing from Hart and the defense from High Point. We saw a lot of really good looks there as Ewan Andrew takes another shot. Peduzzi tries to get it back over to Ewan Andrew, and he does. Playing it there. Tipped all the way up and over, and it will be called dead as it hits one of the lights here in the Lancelot Sports Complex. 15 minutes and 22 seconds left in the second period. Panthers are still up 2-1. Take another face-off in the near side dot. And it's won by Peduzzi over to Cam Kazai. Cam takes a shot, but nothing goes through. Just off wide and right. Hit in the head is Ewan Andrew, but again, no one able to find that. Passed up and collected is Kazai. Kazai tries to finds Ewan Andrew with a nifty pass there, but unable to connect on it. Panthers, good stick forward for Albano. Sends it over to Sasso. Sasso shoots it just wide of Tucker. They'll bring it back over to Ringstad, but they'll keep it in the offensive zone. Collecting it is Ewan Andrew. Sends it all the way back down, and High Point regains the zone and goes for a line change here as the Hokies try to find someone up towards the front. Good glove by Anderson, able to keep it there, and Tucker Forrest almost sending it up and over the netting. We saw one of those last night as well.
We have seen a lot of high deflections over the course of the weekend. A lot of force behind these shots this weekend.
Yeah, it seems like both teams have really been working on their shots over the break, able to keep a lot of momentum behind them, and we'll have another face-off here, but there will probably be another shot fairly soon as well. Hearn tries to tip it over, does get it off over the blue line, so no, there would have been offsides, but the Hokies regain it here. Gavin now with it, sends it over to Tulo, almost gets there, but Hart able to just make a save that Tucker made in the first as well, just post to post. Beautiful there as they'll send it over to the captain, Welch. Welch Can't control it, and it will squeak on by. A shot after a pull away, and a goal from the captain, Welch.
Andrew Welch has had a big weekend here at the Lancer lot and does it there once again. A tough rebound. Forrest let that one go to the opposite side, and Welch in the perfect spot. That's really been the theme of this weekend, is High Point has spaced so well. They're in the right spot, and they've got room to shoot.
They're moving really well off puck, and that's an important thing for a team to do, not just playing the puck, but moving around it as well, as High Point wins the faceoff there. Hutchins takes a little bit of a fall, and they'll send it up and into the bench of the Hokies. That goal assisted for High Point, and they'll take a face-off in the far side dot. Stewart takes it, loses it to Donahue. Takra chasing after his man. Nothing there. Sending it forward to Tyler Gordon. Tyler Gordon claims the zone, tries to find something, but nothing home. Brian Rice fighting his man Hutchins, and the Panthers will claim it here again. DeVivo trying to get a stick on it so that Takra can play it, and he does. They'll send it all the way up, and it will be no icing, as High Point could have gotten there first. Good steal by Teo as he tries to claim the zone, but gets shouldered up high, and they'll continue over. Here comes the Hokies as a shot from Teo again just goes right and wide. And they'll keep going. Still claiming the zone. Puck a little bit caught up in Kubi's pads. He takes a wraparound shot. Good look there, but blocked by Hart. Racing down is DiMartino. The wheels on the kid.
Nice hustle from the Panthers. DiMartino giving High Point another opportunity.
Kubi with the shot and glove down by Hart as he slows things down. Maybe giving the assistant captain DiMartino a little bit of time to breathe after that leg all the way down the ice.
Virginia Tech with a couple of solid looks over the last couple minutes, but it's been the story of the weekend. They haven't been able to put them through.
Falling down to the ice is Reggio, looking for a call, but nothing there. Ringstad pulls it over to Reggio. Reggio back to Ringstad. Ringstad sends it on Tucker, and Tucker elects to play it forward. Pulling it all the way around. Ringstad tries to get something, but it bounces over his stick, and that's Ewan to Cam. No shot, just wide. Plays it over. The Hokies looking for something to go their way. Skakara out there for defense. Ewan Andrews sends it over to Murphy. Murphy sends it on. Paduzzi with a good look there, but it just goes right into the breadbasket of the Panthers goalie, Hart.
High Point has been so effective defensively, and as we talked about earlier, along the boards, they've been quite stifling, honestly. It's been pretty impressive to see how they've been able to just knock the puck back across the blue line over and over. And while Virginia Tech has gained the zone often, they just haven't been able to keep it there.
Takara tries to glove it down, but nothing there. Yell takes it, shot just off of the pads of Forrest. Takara now with it, sends it up to Tulo. Big hit, Tulo. And they'll continue here. Takara claims it again, tries to find someone, but Yell is able to pressure him a little bit more. Scuffle in the corner, but the Hokies will gain it. temporarily, and then they'll lose it back over to High Point. And a whistle will be called off a cross-check on Tulo. This goes to the box for 2 minutes here. Definitely saying something about, oh, they're giving him 4 minutes. They're giving him a major for cross-checking, something that happened in the back corner. The penalties are starting early in the second as we're reaching the halfway point. We've seen a lot of different penalties being called this weekend, a lot of penalties being miscalled as well. That's a good one for the refs there, as there was a big hit there, but I think the Panthers are a little lucky with that being called a major instead of a minor. We'll slow things down, trying to figure out who's going to be on ice. Peduzzi taking the face-off against Bugan. Peduzzi wins it back over to Teo. Teo sends it all the way down, but it gets the stick of Kazai. Kazai pressuring the Panthers there, chasing after Hudgens, and he does actually send it back down. Something that we've seen a couple of times from the Panthers, not able to get it across their own zone on the power play. Kellogg with it now, sending it around the corner, not able to get it by, but Peduzzi sends it all the way back down.
I have to say, I am surprised that was a 4-minute. I wonder if that has something to do with the aggression in the game and the referees trying to calm it down a little bit.
Definitely agree, as they're trying to make things not like last night. There will be a tripping called on the Panthers now. So again, one team makes a penalty, the next one responds with another one, and this is what slows these teams down. Power play hasn't been something that's been very important for both teams, or very successful for either team tonight, just because of the back and forth for these calls. It'll be 4-on-4 now for about 2 minutes. There will still be 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the power play for the Panthers. The faceoff won by the Panthers. They'll send it back over. Sasso brings it up over to Casatori. Casatori with it now. Sends it back over to Sasso, the brother, Anthony Sasso. We saw him get hit a little high earlier in the start of the game, but it seems like he's back on. DiMartino fighting with Stewart there at the blue line, and Tucker making a good stop there from a shot from the corner by Glessner. Glessner fighting. Sullivan and Stewart there. Puck squeaks all the way out and will be collected by Anthony Sasso. Sasso sending it over back to Casatori. Casatori and DeVivo having a battle towards the blue line. Both men going down, but neither one claiming the puck. Tucker Forrest sending it back over, and Murphy will slow it down as he sends it up to Now. Now, Sullivan back to Now. Now with it, shot from the point and easily gloved down by Hart. Definitely been the story of the game tonight, as a lot of really good shots have gone on net, but it seems like Hart has been the answer.
He's been in the right spots at the right time consistently, and he's had a lot of help from his defense as well. The Panthers have swarmed the puck in front of the crease, and they've played nicely along the boards.
A little bit of some miscommunication there leads to Hart just covering it up, slowing things down, electing to take another look at the face-off, hopefully getting a cleaner possession here for the 4-on-4. 42 seconds left in the 4-on-4 play before we go back to the Panthers power play. Hokies with it now, sending it over to Takara. Takara misses just wide. Takara claims it again, as both Now and Now will take a penalty here for a cross-check, which doesn't seem like super correct, but it will be a push, most likely. Gavin now going to the box to join Matt Tulo. A little bit of pressure there, as you can see the aggravation of the Hokies tonight, as some of the calls that aren't being called might be pushing them a little bit further than they would like. 2 minutes for a cross-check there. And we'll go back on the Panthers power play for the rest of the 25 seconds even. It'll be 3-on-4. Cam Kazai with it now. Battles up front, but he's held down on the ground right next to the post. But again, nothing called. Paduzzi with it, trying to find Kazai, nothing. And the Panthers, with the extra man, claim it back. Paduzzi and Kazai, though, pressuring a lot. DiMartino regains the zone for the Panthers, and they'll try to set something up here as they're now on their 5-on-3. Shot just goes right above Tucker's head, and Captain Welch sends it all the way over. Collecting it is Hutchins, back to Welch. Welch over to DiMartino. DiMartino finds nothing, so he sends it over to Hughes. Hughes back up to Hutchins. Hughes, Welch, the captain, already with one tonight. Back over to Hughes. Hutchins controls it. 35 seconds left on the 5-on-3.
The Hokies are playing well in the 5-on-3. They've limited shots greatly.
Over to Hughes. Hughes tries to take it, and Tucker just right there. Right into the chest.
High Point with so much time to work with the advantage. They're really taking their time and looking for that picture-perfect shot. I think in some ways it could help them if they're able to get the right one, but so far Virginia Tech has prevented that, and it's helped them kill off a lot of time.
Austin Hearn loses it. And the Panthers will take a little bit more time here. 13 seconds left on the two-man advantage. Back over to Donahue. Donahue looks for something, doesn't find it, takes a shot instead off Tucker, and it goes just almost to the netting, but nothing. Tulo coming out of the box, ready to play some defense here. Shot just off of Rice's stick, and they'll send it all the way down, no icing. 12 seconds left on the man advantage for the Panthers. All the way over to the corners, Bova. Bova sends it back behind. Full penalty will be killed by the Hokies.
That's a big stand for Virginia Tech, but they really need to get one in the net here. Get a little bit more momentum going in their way.
Hearn loses it. Played around. Hit off, but just missing. Donahue is now sending it over. Hearn won't get a stick on it, and he'll go off to the bench. 5 minutes and 49 seconds left in the second period here tonight. Panthers still up 2-1. I'm Finn Trainer, and I've got Kyle Bean with me. Gavin Paduzzi, a little quiet tonight. Not too much has gone his way, but we have seen a lot of goals scored throughout the season and also of last year as well.
Absolutely dominated in the M2 division last season. He was among the leading scorers.
Shot from Teo just goes a little wide, and the Panthers will send it all the way down into the defensive end for the Hokies, but they'll have more people on ice as the Panthers take a line change. Tyler Gordon sends it up over. DeVivo collects it. Nothing goes by, though. Looking for an opportunity is the Panthers as they try to get it up to Ringstad, but he's not able to. Playing with it, sending it over. Tucker comes out of the goal about halfway up the defensive end to just cover it.
That was the right play by Tucker Forrest. He would have had to handle the one-on-one, but taking the risk, hopping out of the net, and just getting to that puck quickly, he gives his defense some time to settle in.
The score might be 3-1, but they've done a really good job in net. Playing it up. No offsides yet. West Valiant trying to find a way, but DiMartino sends it over, and they will stay onside. Back all the way up, though, to Kubi. Kubi misses West Valiant, but they'll collect it there. Glessner takes a shot as he falls down to the ice. No call there. Sending it all the way back around the boards. Collecting it is John Ryan. Back up to center ice. Kubi and DiMartino exchanging some words as Takara takes it in the zone. Here comes Kubi, all alone with two defenders on him. He sends a shot that just goes all the way around the boards and all the way perfectly up to man. Man not able to get anything to come of it, and settling it back down is Skakra.
That was almost a really bad moment for Virginia Tech. The Panthers nearly had that breakaway, but the Hokies able to get two back just in time to able to force the missed pass.
Peduzzi with the takeaway here. Fakes the shot, nothing. Skakra takes a shot, hits the glass, back over to Cam. Cam Kazai with it now, sends it over to Ewan Andrew, but it's taken away by Glover. Battle with the ref already, still stick being held. Ewan Andrew, and they will call a holding on number 61, Cameron Anderson for High Point. That's their second holding call of the period. We've got 3 minutes left. The Hokies' power play hasn't been as good as we've seen it before. We definitely saw during the Rider game that they had a very strong one, making 3 goals in just that second game of the series.
They really need the power play to come up big here. Coming to the end of the second period here in just a few minutes. They need to get some more momentum and start working back out of the deficit as we get ready for the third.
Gavin now collects it here, sends it up to Rice. Rice to Sullivan. Sullivan down to Hearn. Hearn back to Sullivan. He takes the shot, almost gets tipped in by Tulo. Tulo battling at the boards. They will send it all the way up, and Sullivan almost is able to keep it in, but he's not able to. It'll be offsides, but they'll wave it off as the Panthers will send it all the way down and around to Brian Rice. Rice with it now. Almost a minute left here as Tulo claims the zone, keeps with the puck here behind the net. Tries to find something, but again, it's the Panthers with the answer. Is that coming from Sasso, sending it all the way down.
They've already killed off a minute, and Virginia Tech hasn't done much of anything on this power play.
2-minute warning for the Hokies here. Peduzzi with a good shot, but doesn't get by. Ewan Andrew almost there. DeVivo snuffing it is Hart. He gets up a little slow after that, but a great opportunity there. A lot of really clustered stuff towards the net, but Hart has the answers for everything the Hokies are throwing his way.
You're not going to get a much better look than that. DeVivo went low, and unfortunately, the only spot open was high.
DiMartino sends it all the way down. Tucker is the one to collect it. Forrest gives it all the way off, and Ewan Andrew tries to claim it, but some good stick work by the Panthers with Casatori. Kazai with it now. Checks the clock, sees that there's 15 left in the penalty. Peduzzi with it. He's got Kazai, but he sends it over to Ewan, and Ewan just right into the glove of Hart. Nothing is going by this guy in the second period. They got one early in the first, but it seems like the Hokies just haven't found an answer to the goalie Hart.
High Point has just been stifling on defense. And every time Virginia Tech does get a good shot, there's a brick wall in front of the net.
Exactly. Another good opportunity there is Tyler Gordon, but just goes wide. Full strength for both teams. Tyler Gordon with it again, sends it over to Stewart, but nothing. Kellogg not able to get anything from it. Stewart has to grab his stick back, but he joins the play again. Playing the puck up in the air, and they don't call a high stick. Teo, shot, just goes wide and almost goes over, but it just goes into the wrong netting up above.
The Hokies keeping possession here for a little bit over the last minute or so, but the story of the game has really been High Point's defense.
They've collected something. They obviously watched some sort of tape or learned something, as the Hokies had possession a lot of the last game, but it seems like High Point's had the answer. They've collected it a lot easier and gotten it over the line as DiMartino tips it up over the glass and over in. Tries to force his way over, but two Hokies have the answer. Hearn with it now, battling Hutchins. Hutchins not able to collect. Too low, over to now. No shot there. Hearn trying to find someone. He plays it down back deep. 9 seconds left. Back over to Hearn. Hearn sends it over to Tulo. Tulo not there. Rice shot back into the body.
That's a big stop by Joe DiMartino, just selling his body out to make that block.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story of the game. Even though they have a brick wall and net, they still have a defense that's prepped and prepared there to stop even more shots on goal. The Hokies are down 2 with Panthers up 3-1. Got 17 minutes left here in the intermission. We'll see you guys here on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network very soon. Welcome back to the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. I'm here with Kyle Bean. My name is Finn Trainer. We're here for the third period where the Panthers lead 3-1 against the Virginia Tech Hokies. Looking back at last year, comparing it to this year, we still see some big names, especially we know Peduzzi is one of the highest point leaders here for the Virginia Tech hockey team, but we're seeing very similar stuff this year as well, but down a couple of points as we've seen throughout the game.
Yeah, I think this really shows the difference in competition from last season to this season for Virginia Tech. I mean, you look at Gavin Peduzzi, 21 goals last season at this point in the year. So far this year, 9. And the same thing all the way down the line. Assists, points per games, and the wins. I mean, you're seeing a big drop-off, but a lot of that is just due to playing so much tougher teams. This year's schedule has been a lot more difficult, and it's reflected on the record. But every time we talk to Coach Mullen about it, he says he feels confident in this team. They've held in there. They've lost a lot of tough games, but they've held in there, that they've shown that they have the stuff to potentially make a push late in the season. And as long as they can work their way into the playoffs, into the regionals tournament, then maybe they could go far because they're more battle-tested throughout the year.
That is the topic of discussion for the rest of the season. Is they still have 5 games left where they're still playing Ohio. They're playing Wake Forest, which is just right under them in the ACCHL standings for the Premier League. And they still have teams in the playoffs as well that still count for their rankings going into regionals. So it's not a season that is over yet, but it's definitely something that they have to remember, that they've played the harder teams. And like you said, battle-tested is something that helps in playoff games.
The only fear, though, at the moment for Virginia Tech is with the loss last night and currently down 2 goals here tonight, they've really got to play well against Ohio. You might need both of those wins, and Ohio is not necessarily the team you want to need 2 wins against at this point in the season. I mean, among the top 3 in the Southeast region.
And that top 3 is a hard place to be, where no one has even changed in the rankings. As High Point wins the faceoff there, bringing it forward is Bugan. Bugan tries to get it over to Bova, but nothing there. Pulling it forward is Kazai, but he'll send it back over to Teo Lanigan, who will give it over to Peduzzi. Peduzzi sends it up, and Ewan Andrew sticks it in, so it's not icing or offsides. Cam Kazai with it now. Gets it taken away from him, but he'll send it all the way across, skating back over. He was about to go off the ice. It's Teo Lanigan with a big hit on the captain, Welch.
Great stick by Peduzzi to keep that in momentarily, and that was a massive hit from Lanigan.
It was. Tucker Force with the easy stop there. And they'll settle it down, and we'll have a face-off. Only a minute goes by, and another whistle. We'll see what the Hokies can do, hopefully for them. They can win this face-off and make something happen all the way in the offensive zone. They had the first goal in the start of the first period, but after that, they haven't had much success on the goaltender, Hart.
One of the big difference makers here in this third period is going to be whether High Point can get back in the Hokies' heads once again like they've done so well this weekend. Can they keep Virginia Tech frustrated?
Now with it, after being given it by Hearn. Now sends it up to Rice. Rice plays it back over to Now. Now struggles but gets it over to Hearn. Hearn tries to get it over to Tulo, who recovers with it. It's blocked down by Donahue. And the Panthers will get it out of their defensive end. A longer push for the Hokies. Brilliant work by Gordon. And he'll send it on to the goalie, where Hart will take the smart thing and slow things down, and I think that's what was going through Gordon's head there.
Yeah, definitely. I love the way Tyler Gordon played that behind his back, got the puck moving quickly. He saw an opportunity to push it into the zone and give Virginia Tech a chance there.
They know they've been fairly successful on the face-off here in the offensive zone. So Sullivan with a shot passes it instead over to Stewart, but it just slims on by.
You've got to collect that pass.
That's a pass that is perfect right on the tape of Zachary Stewart, and it just goes wide. They'll take another face-off here in the far side of, the near side. They switch it up. Taking the face-off is Stewart with the puck, winning it momentarily, but then it's brought over to Anderson. Anderson keeps it with him now. Trying to send it up to Sasso, but it just gets wide, and no one gets a stick on that, so it will be icing, and they'll bring it all the way back down into the high point zone.
I think this might be a big draw for Virginia Tech. Able to get fresh legs out there while High Point's stuck with who they had on the ice. The Hokies really need a goal here early in the third. They don't want to be battling back late like they did last night.
Face-off win by West Valiant. Nothing there. Tyler Gordon sends it, and they'll call a hand pass on the Hokies. Again, they'll have a face-off in the near side dot.
That's one of those moments where the hand pass rule gets a little funky. Clearly not deliberate by any means, but he wasn't the first one to touch the puck.
Exactly. They'll take the face-off all the way down into the defensive zone. West Valiant taking it again with Yell. And the Hokies win it. Lanigan up to Ryan, but Ryan not able to get an arm on it, and so it'll be icing, and they'll send it back to the defensive end for the Hokies. Started off strong for both teams where they kind of were playing fairly fast, but then it seems like things have lulled a little bit as Valiant's taking his third face-off in 30 seconds. Keeping it there. It's sent all the way up. Almost with a good goal there, Anderson, but it just goes wide. Valiant up to Kubi. Kubi isn't able to get it to Ryan, but the Hokies will claim it back. Is Kellogg. Kellogg, big hit in the corner. That's dealt by Yell. Kubi with it now. Hit into the boards by Yell again. A little shaken as he gets back up, and Yell goes off. Another big hit into the wall. Kellogg from Riggio. Panthers, good stick work here as they try to get it across, but that pass sent all the way down to Skarka from the Panthers' Hutchins. Skarka loses a little bit of his footing as he blows a tire into the boards, and they'll continue here. Puck goes all the way out and down. No icing as it was the Panthers who did that. Hutchins claims it, battling a little bit here with Ewan Andrew, and it goes all the way over to Tucker. Tucker sends it to Skarka. Boarding right there, but again, no call as it's played over to Welch. Welch with it now. Able to get it through is Bova, but it goes back to the Hokies, sending it up to Kazai. Kazai battles with Albano. Kazai over to Ewan Andrew and isn't able to get too much of a stick under it, but Ewan Andrew back with it again. Kazai over to Paduzzi. Paduzzi's shot goes wide. Gathering it back is Murphy McLeod. McLeod with it. Takes a shot, but nothing goes by. Arms his man and fights for it in the corner. Pulled down. Has it now Hearn. Hearn tries to get it to Kazai, but isn't able to. Back over, blowing a tire, is McLeod. The Hokies gain the zone momentarily. Hearn with it now. Nifty stick work there as he tries to get it over to Now, but nothing connects. The dribble's right off. The puck will go all the way down, and Tucker Forrest will come out to claim it so that they can keep their momentum here. All the way up to Tulo. Tulo loses it a little bit, and it's hit into the boards. Claiming it now is Anderson. Anderson moving across the red line. Loses it a little bit, but Donahue there to recover it for him. Anderson again, he gets high sticked, but no call there. Tulo with it now, tries to get it to Gordon. Isn't able to. Teo loses it to Donahue. Back over is Stewart. Stewart to Teo. Teo shot right into the glove of Hart. A lot of no calls there. A lot of back and forth. Both teams kind of getting looks that they would have liked back.
It's hard to believe that this game could get more physical than it was, but somehow we've made it to this point. Definitely an interesting third period, to say the least.
Gordon takes it away. Tripped up a little bit is Stewart as it goes down, and is able to get back up. DeVivo with it in the corner. Sends it back. Collects it is Rice. Rice fighting in the corner, pushing and shoving, goes back and forth, and they will call Brian Rice for a penalty there. And over at center ice is Tecray and DiMartino, both of them having some words exchanged for one another. One of them said something that the other one didn't like, and they will have a little bit of an argument there as Rice goes to the penalty box. They'll start back in the far right corner. 2 minutes will be the power play for the Panthers. Taking it is DiMartino on Peduzzi. Peduzzi wins it over to Sullivan.
Definitely a costly penalty for the Hokies, trying to work themselves back, and now they're down a man.
And they will call something here, and they'll send it off. I believe they'll call a high stick on the Panthers, and so they'll send it back over to the neutral zone side of the Panthers. 13 minutes and 31 seconds left. 1:45 left for the penalty. Peduzzi with a nifty win over to Kazai, who just knew that where the puck was going to be, and so he battles in the corner with two Panthers, both the captain Welch and Hutchins, and they'll come up with it. Welch all the way over to Hughes. Hughes sends it over to DiMartino. Big hit by Sullivan on DiMartino. McLeod tries to get it by Welch with it now. Good stick by Peduzzi, and he gets tripped up onto the ice. And again, like we had last period and the first period as well, one penalty is led by the next penalty. Neither team really getting a solid 2 minutes of a power play.
Definitely some back and forth from both sides, and you can see the tempers flaring. It's been like that all weekend. Big physical game, lots and lots of powerful hits. It feels like a lot of guys are kind of going after each other almost.
And that's a scary thing also to start off. Again, both teams still have a hefty schedule for the rest of the season. So people getting hurt is definitely an issue, but either way, they just want to play physically. Puck is sent over to Bugan. Bugan with it now, gets stripped of it by Kellogg. Kellogg not able to get it by, but Hearn collects it. Sends it all the way over to Now. Now with some speed, enters the zone. Gets it taken away from him by Sasso. Collecting it is Teo Lanigan. Now tries to keep it going. Unable to, however. They'll send it back over. Stick up high, and again, no call. And they'll keep going here as Now sends it over to Lanigan. Lanigan's pass back, unable to connect. Puck right in front, no one there. Kellogg sends it over to Hearn. Hearn back to Kellogg. Kellogg sending it over to Now. Unable to get anything there as Now is pushed down to the ice by the goalie, and they'll keep it going. Lanigan collecting it again. Gains the zone, is armed into the wall. And the Panthers claim it after a little bit of a scrum. Rice comes out of the box, instantly joining the team, and Tucker Forrest slows it down. Passing it back over, all the way up to Rice. It gets caught up in the ref's skates. Rice will send it over to Peduzzi. Peduzzi looking up. He finds Kazai. Kazai loses it a little bit. Rice over to Tulo. Tulo misses it just under his stick. Back over to Kazai. Kazai to Rice. Rice tries to get it on net, but it doesn't go in. Puck is sent all the way down, and that will end off and kill the penalty for the Panthers. Tulo with it now. Full strength for the Panthers. Sending it all the way over. Sullivan spins around, sends it up. Peduzzi with a kick in, and they will call icing on that. We'll take it back into the zone. We'll have a face-off.
It's been a tough third period for the Hokies. High Point has played really well all weekend, and they have just continued to put the pressure on Virginia Tech.
We talked about it in the intermission while we were away. Tucker Forrest, good stop there off of a shot from Albano. It seems like a lot of penalties aren't being called, and even when they are being called, they're either lighter or they're a lot heavier. And that's something that both teams kind of look at, in it's working in favor for High Point, as a lot of the calls really should have been going for Virginia Tech's way, and they really haven't. Battling in the boards is DeVivo and Stewart fighting against Mann and Reggio. Reggio with it now. Loses it to McLeod. McLeod hit up high again. All the way over to Albano. Albano, his pass gets blocked by traffic over to Mann. Mann tries to get it again, but a good pick is done by DeVivo. McLeod with it, and they gain some speed here as DeVivo, the goal scorer for the Hokies of the night, sends it in, and they get a line change here. A few bodies are out now. Valiant pushes into the zone, nothing there. Kellogg with it, crosses the line, shot on Hart, nothing. West with a shot, but it just goes into the pads of Hart. Again, somehow there with a little bit of luck. Held there, Kellogg with it now. Shot over, just in the skates.
Once again, it's High Point crowding in front of the crease. They've done such a good job about it. They're keeping their sticks active in there, and it's prevented a lot of shots from even getting to the net.
Hughes almost finds Sasso, but Sasso just sticks it down, and now it's a breakaway for Hearn. Hearn has Tulo to his left, and it's blocked by the stick of Anderson.
Crucial defensive play there for the Panthers once again, getting in the way. The Hokies had the odd man rush and somehow able to get back and recover.
Skarka now with it, tries to feed it up to Kazai, but he's not able to. Now with it, unable to get over, and they will be calling an offsides, I believe. Oh, they're calling too many men on the Panthers as they had too many people out and they played it as well. That will be a penalty for the Panthers, and the Hokies have a little bit of good luck here as going to the box is Hughes, unable to get off the ice fast enough and plays the puck. We're going to get a power play for the Hokies now. 2 minutes. little eager on the face-off, so they'll call it back and they'll redo it as Gavin now takes it against Welch.
Once again, the Hokies with an opportunity to start closing the gap. At some point, they're going to have to capitalize on one of them if they want to get back into this game.
Doozy with it now with a minute and 44 left in the power play. Nifty pass between his legs, sends it up over to Kazai. Kazai takes it, but isn't able to capitalize. Sending it back in, though, is Kazai, and it will go all the way down. DiMartino with a swipe at it, but it just goes wide. Doozy up to Rice. Connects there, but it slips just wide. Kazai takes the zone. Tripped up towards the center is Teo. Brought back down to the ground. Still held on the ground is Teo.
Penalty incoming on High Point.
And they will get the penalty there for an interference. Another man going to the box. That is the 6'8" Glessner. Being called for interference here. So the Hokies now on 5-on-3, which is something that they were able to kill off earlier in the second. Now it's the roles have been reversed now, and High Point is the one who will be down 5-3 for a minute.
It's hard to believe with 7:42, but this could be the game right here.
This really could. Just one quick goal here can really turn the tides. Rice loses it, however, over to Peduzzi. Peduzzi tries to snap it, but it just skips off of his stick. Battling up front. Yes! And that's a goal for Peduzzi.
Nice stick work from the Hokies. They had a couple of sloppy passes, weren't quite able to handle it, but able to keep it in the zone, recover, stay settled, and they finally get an open shot that they're able to capitalize. And just like I said earlier, I thought that might be the moment in the game where High Point wins it. If you were able to defend that 5-on-3 successfully, at some point the Hokies may just break, but they're able to get one on the board, get it a little bit closer, and now all of a sudden you're back in striking distance.
And it's also still with the power play for the too many men, as that's non-releasable, at least from the first goal. So they'll still keep it on, and it will be 5-on-4 for the Hokies. A little bit of something that I think gets a little overlooked there is the work from QB right there in front, kind of playing the thing that Ethan Garlock used to do, where he's just battling up front, screening the goalie, and that was perfect play. If the goalie's catching everything, you got to stop there. Gavin now with it now. Tries to pass it over. Gets it over to Kazai. Back to Now. Now sends it up to the goal scorer, Peduzzi, and it just goes wide. Back over to Now. They'll settle it down. A minute 14 left.
Look at this
in
battle in front of the net.
Again, what QB was already doing so well. Shot right there. And they're calling.
It's got to be on one of the players in front of the net. It has to be Kubi, or I think it was Sasso mixed in there as well.
They are calling Kubi, as the two of them are battling up front there. That's where I think the coaching staff is a little confused at why they're calling that, because that's just basic playing for hockey. That's textbook. You have two guys in front of the net. They're pushing each other there. That's not interference, as both players are really playing the clock and they're playing the puck, but they'll get called for that, and it'll be 4-on-4. Some words being exchanged from the coaching staff and the refs. Rightfully so, as not much has really been called for the Hokies here on home ice as well.
That's a really bad penalty for Virginia Tech. Getting late in the third period, they had some of those last night as well. Those late penalties that were big game changers. And now another one here as they're trying to work back.
Still 4-on-4, however. McLeod makes his way by. Nothing comes from a hook there by the Panthers either. Sullivan right on net, but it just goes wide. Trying to recover it is McLeod. He gains it up at the blue line. Sending it down over to Sullivan. Sullivan takes it with him. Almost tipping it in is Kazai, and stuffing it is Hart. Both teams taking some costly penalties in the late minutes of the third period. We've seen a lot of stuff happen. The standings of both of these teams are at stake here in everything, both regionals and the playoffs as well. All the way down, and to Cray. Wins the race, gets played into the boards, and they won't call anything as a penalty, but they will stop the play as that board keeps causing some issues as it keeps getting pulled off. At some point, you start using that as a meter. If that board is opening, maybe the hit was a little too strong. 6 minutes and 12 seconds left here. 30 seconds left on the 4-on-4, and then we'll go to a High Point power play. Big battle for it there is Hearn. Hearn loses it and taking it all the way up is Welch. Welch trying to play some time there as Hearn tries to challenge. They're waiting their time, trying to get the man advantage or a better look, and this better look happens here. Hutchins gains the zone, gets battled into the corner. Tulo and DiMartino, along with Rice, playing up at center. Rice defending the man at front, which is DiMartino, sending it over, losing it a little bit, but Hughes takes it and sends it back to Welch. Welch with it now, shot, just goes right over to Rice's stick, and he's able to send it all the way down where Hart has to collect it and give it off to Welch. 26 seconds left in the penalty kill for the Hokies. Hughes with it now, all the way over, finding Ringstad. Ringstad takes it up, sends it all the way on goal, and Tucker Forrest sends it off into the corner. Teo Lanigan tries to get it out, isn't able to, and it squeaks just under the pads of Tucker Forrest. A little bit of a screen by number 27, Nick Sasso there, and he wasn't able to see it as it slipped right through and under his pads.
That's a tough one for Forrest. Trouble locating it with the screen, as you mentioned, and Matthew Hughes just able to squirt it through. Virginia Tech now right back in the spot that they fought for so long to get out of.
Maybe this change of pace might help for them, but no one will know until it happens. Skarka gained the zone for a bit. Kazai back over to Skarka. Back to Kazai. Kazai battling in the corner with Albano. Albano's the one who successfully gets it. Man sends it right by Skarka. Sullivan sends it up and over the head of Sasso. Gaining the zone is Sullivan. Sullivan tries to get it to Kazai, but a little bit of miscommunication. Peduzzi to Kazai. Kazai trying to get it off to Sullivan, isn't able to. Still with it is Kazai. Kazai sends it all the way along the boards. Gavin now not able to keep with it. Back to Now. Now looking for something as they are pressured fairly tightly. Kazai with a good pass over to Peduzzi, but it just goes wide, and that puck goes all the way up and out of play. Panthers try to get a few people off onto the benches, but they'll be pulled back onto the ice. A timeout is called by the Panthers. 3 minutes and 48 seconds left in the period. Looking at standings for the ACCHL playoff picture, we've got Penn State, Rowan, UNCW, and Virginia Tech. They're at the top 4 seeds, which might be changing after tonight, depending on what happens with the Hokies and the High Point Panthers. You might have a lot of big changes here. Wake Forest might still stay there, but you could potentially see High Point and Virginia Tech switch.
High Point could definitely jump up a couple of spots with a win here tonight. This would be a big one to shake things up, get themselves a slightly easier draw when it comes to the ACCHL playoffs. Potentially, they'd be facing off with Wake Forest or even Virginia Tech at this point in time.
Yeah, and as we keep going into the rest of the season, that's something that we're going to keep looking at throughout the next couple of games, is where the seedings are, what's going on with the rest of the league, and also looking forward at regional standings as well, as I believe the top 16 go to regionals. All the way down, past with the hand is Welch, but the Hokies cleanly get it back. Almost a shot there is Bugan as he comes colliding with Rice. Gordon blows a little bit of a tire. Stewart with it, gives it over to Gordon. Gordon now sees Stewart going up ice, and they're calling offsides on the Hokies. Another critical penalty, or critical infraction there that slows everything down. In a sport where speed is so important, that's not something that the Hokies really want to be doing here.
Just a sloppy play for Virginia Tech. They've had a lot of those tonight, and High Point has been able to capitalize, forced a lot of errors, and just not the best game overall for Virginia Tech.
The discipline was always the question between both of these teams early on, and also coming into this weekend. What happened during that break is the thing that every team looks for, and it seems like High Point has had the answer. They obviously knew what they were doing when they came here to Lancerlot. Getting with it is Glessner. Glessner bodies Teo. Teo still able to recover, sends it all the way over to Hearn. Hearn with it over to Tulo, and pulled down to the ground is Kellogg. All the way over to DiMartino, who picks a little bit of a fight with Sullivan. Sullivan regaining it now is Valiant. Valiant sends it up to Tulo. Tulo gets a stick there, so it won't be icing. And a cover-up doesn't end up gaining a stoppage of play there. Now with it, tries to find Kazai, but he's just a little bit late. Keeping it in, however, is High Point themselves. They'll send it all the way over. Tulo with it. Paduzzi sending it down. Hart tries to collect it, but it goes right under. He's out of the net. Sullivan sends it back. It will be 6-on-5 now as Tucker Forrest is actually out of the net. That puck goes all the way down, and it will be icing for the Panthers. 1:38 left. 2-4, the Panthers leading. Tucker Forrest out of the net now.
Virginia Tech was able to come in clutch in the third last night, fell in overtime, but got things close. They did something similar against Liberty early in the season, but with a 2-goal deficit and not much time remaining, they've really got to turn it on here.
I think the thing that they would be looking for is maybe a penalty, maybe even a penalty shot come, but even then, if High Point keeps icing, they're still ticking down time, and precious time for the Hokies with 1:30 left. It's dangerous territory for the Hokies, especially when it comes with that 2-goal deficit. Puck didn't get dropped, and both players fight for it, so they'll reset here. Gavin now taking the face-off for the Hokies. Wins it to Kazai. Kazai tries to battle forward, and he's tripped up onto the ground. Sent all the way over. Hit into the boards by Paduzzi. And they'll continue there. Big stop by Rice to make it not a 5-2 win for the High Point. Going in, still 6-on-6 is Gavin now. Gavin now tries to find a better opportunity, sending it back. Kubi not able to control it, and that puck will go off. They'll have to regain sides. Lanigan with it, sends it all the way over. Hart gloves it down. Trying to kill more time as the Panthers, but now in the perfect spot. Sending it up, Kubi with it. Trying to get it around. Just bounces off the back of the net, and it will go off. Rice, shot, blocked by the feet of Glessner. Kazai, shot, blocked by the stick of one of the Panthers. Shot goes all the way down and in the empty net. And that will put the icing on the cake for this game. 25 seconds left on the third period, and the Hokies, not much left that they can really do. I mean, unless they can score three goals in 10 seconds, not a whole bunch that they can really do.
Well, the Hokies brought back Forrest into the net. I think we'll just see this one wind down. Put up a little bit of a fight, but almost unreachable.
Tucker Forrest plays it back over to McLeod. McLeod with it now, skating up over the ice, streaming all the way in. Big hit into the corner. 5 seconds left, nothing there. A shot lazily goes all the way over to Hart, and the Panthers will take the weekend with the goal being 5-2. Big playing by Hart there to keep them in. It seemed like everything kept going on to the net, but Hart was just there as a brick wall.
Really well played game by High Point overall. It's clear that they had a great game plan coming into tonight. They drew the frustration from Virginia Tech. They capitalized on mistakes. They played great defense both in front of the net and along the boards. A really well played, complete game from them. Virginia Tech just had a lot of trouble handling what High Point brought to the table tonight.
Yeah, you're 100% right with High Point just being able to push all the buttons that the Hokies had and not really able to turn back. With that, we will talk a little bit about the rest of the season for the Hokies. Next weekend, they will be playing in Ohio against Ohio, a big game for the Hokies, especially after the loss tonight. Must-win games for the Hokies against the number 3 spot for the ACC or the ACCHL rankings for regionals.
Ohio, one of the dominant teams in the Southeast so far this season. They're going to separate the two teams out on the ice. Definitely a heated weekend, and that doesn't surprise me too much. But yeah, Ohio's a really tough team, and with back-to-back losses this weekend for Virginia Tech, they probably need to win both against Ohio and then both games against Wake Forest as well. You've really got to capitalize on the 4 games left that count towards the regional rankings. That Towson game will not, because they're in a different division.
Yeah, Towson being a D1 team kind of throws a little bit of some messiness into the rankings here, as it won't count like you said. They still do have the ACCHL Tour, which is the playoffs. They still play teams. They still gain seeding for regionals. So there is still hope for the Hokies here, especially, I think, if they can beat Ohio. Ohio still being that ranked 3 team. If they can put up a good weekend against them, that can really change things, not only for seeding, but also motivation-wise.
Definitely going to be important ones. And with Virginia Tech right on the fringe of making regionals, like you said, Finn, they've got to play strong in the ACCHL tournament, because those games are going to count, and they're going to be against mostly ranked teams in the region. You've got to have a strong showing. You maybe have to think that Virginia Tech needs to make it into potentially the championship game, if not win, especially depending on what happens at Ohio. You get 2 wins there, maybe you get a little bit of forgiveness, but if you split or drop both games, it's going to be really tough for them to battle back in.
Definitely on thin ice after the loss tonight. High Point with the win, 5-2 over the Virginia Tech Hokies. We'll see you guys next time on the Virginia Tech Hockey Network. Thank you guys so much.